Welcome to Making It. My guest today is Toni Basil. Before we start, I'd like to share with you a quick story about the interview you're going to hear in a moment. Toni was kind enough to invite me to her dance studio for our conversation. In preparing for the interview, I got one of her credits incorrectly, and Toni very graciously corrected me during the show intro, which led directly into the conversation that you're about to hear. This show is spontaneous and real, and that's what I love about doing these interviews. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. As a matter of fact, we spoke for an hour and 40 minutes, and we could have easily gone longer. So let me quickly share Toni's credits with you on the unlikely chance that you're not aware of her iconic history in dance, music, and film. Toni Basil began her career as a dancer and assistant choreographer working on the 1965 television show Shindig. This led to her choreographing multiple hit films including American Graffiti, Legally Blonde, Viva Las Vegas, That Thing You Do, and Quentin Tarantino's latest film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Toni is a multiple Emmy Award-winning and Grammy-nominated artist. Her double platinum smash hit song Mickey was installed in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as one of the groundbreaking singles of the 1980s. She has choreographed and co-directed concerts for Tina Turner, David Bowie, Bette Midler, David Lee Roth, and Mick Jagger, to name just a few. Toni Basil has excelled in every entertainment medium: stage, music, commercials, television, film, and video. Her unique form of artistic mastery is at the heart of all of her work. She remains a true pioneer in the dance world, a visionary, and a genuine American treasure. Toni has always been on the cutting edge of pop culture and shows no sign of stopping. And now, here's my interview with Toni Basil.
Welcome to Making It with Terry Wallman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Wallman.
Welcome to Making It with me, your host, Terry Wallman. I want to let you know how much I appreciate everybody joining us every week. We do this show for you and share this information with some really fascinating people, and it means a lot to all of us, my guest and myself, that you listen. So thank you for that. So often I get asked questions about the creative process, so I created this show to focus on what it takes to create a career and maintain a lasting career in the music business. Let me tell you about my guest today, Toni Basil. Toni Basil began her career as a dancer and assistant choreographer working on the 1965 television show Hullabaloo. This led to her choreographing multiple hit films including American Graffiti, Legally Blonde, Viva Las Vegas. Shindig.
Not Hullabaloo.
Oh, well, thank you for that.
Start again.
I will.
You want to start?
I will.
What's interesting is that on the new film that I choreographed, Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, we did do a scene out of Hullabaloo.
Uh-huh.
So I was ready and willing and waiting to do that.
That's great.
It was something I love it when I'm like equipped. You know, it's so great when you can deliver because you know what the heck you're doing.
Right, and I know that you also over-prepare. Which I do too.
How do you know that? From your wife?
No. Well, yes, because I know Melanie worked with you for years.
For years.
But also by reading about you, looking at some other interviews.
I do. I'm a rehearsaholic freak. Just a rehearsaholic freak.
I
love to rehearse.
I do too.
I love it.
Yeah, Melanie can't stand it.
I love
Except like when you all collaborated together.
I love the preparation.
Yeah.
I love the journey of the preparation. I know that, the different acts that I've worked with over the years, they all prepare. They prepare in different ways, and some are just easy breezy and love to prepare, and some are like in terror that their career is going to be over.
Right.
If I mean, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of psychology that goes into working with a lot of people.
There is, and everybody's different, so you need to adjust.
And everybody's so different, but one thing they have in common is that they all have this amazing work ethic.
Right.
Just, they get there different ways. They map out things, a different way. But wow, they have a work ethic. The good ones, the great ones.
Yeah.
It's not just talent and beauty. It's a work ethic that gets them there.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I loved reading about you or hearing you speak about was when you were working with David Bowie. Mm-hmm. And like every night after rehearsals, you were counting bars and coming in ready for like the B plan and the C plan for the options.
Well, this guy, he doesn't need anybody. He can choreograph it. He can write it. He can costume it. He can light it. But, he can only, it takes that 6 to 8 weeks to put it together. Right. So he needs all these partners.
Sure.
But man, you need to be able to keep up with him. And I remember, that night that the next day that we were going to work on Big Brother. Mm-hmm. And I usually, work on the music the night before.
Right.
I could not count that intro. Oh.
Well, just the fact, I mean, I know that you really understand music and the subtleties of it, but you're not really a trained musician.
Well,
you're a singer, but you're a trained ballet dancer and choreographer and actor, and most people bring in like somebody who understands arranging and to help break it down.
We had Michael Kamen.
Okay, right.
So, but the thing is that I mean, look, I know when it's 6/8 and 4/4 and whatever. Yeah. Even flamenco timing, I understand.
Absolutely.
But that was a strange time signature, and I came in early to Michael Kamen. I said, I can't count it. He said, "Oh, it's the strangest time
Right, it's
signature.
A mixed meter.
Oh my God! And I thought, well, okay,
or 3 against 4. They're just mixing it up.
Oh my God!
But I love when I have the opportunity as an arranger, or producer, music director, or guitar player, working with people that already could do it all themselves, but they don't. Mm-hmm. I find it more intriguing and stimulating because they understand. They're just busy.
Yeah,
and they need to get it done, and they want to surround themselves with greatness, and don't you find it stimulating?
Yeah, they need to surround themselves with their equal.
Yes,
in their if you're not up to par with a Bowie or God forbid with Bette, or Quentin Tarantino,
sure.
You are out the door. But man, if you can deliver, it is a joyride.
Well, especially like somebody like Quentin has a vocabulary, a dance vocabulary of styles.
He's also got a photographic memory. So, but the true essence of what a photographic memory is. Right. I mean, he knew, because we kind of did this hullabaloo sequence with Leonardo, and in just talking to Quentin, he knew the names of the dancers.
Not just the dances, but the
names of the dancers, because the dancers were very famous. Sure. Michael Bennett was one of the dancers who, created Chorus Line. Donna McKechnie was one of the dancers who won Tony Awards. I mean, all these were kids at that time. Right. They weren't famous. They were chorus boys and girls, but they became very famous.
Well, I mean, even you, when you did the Robin and the Seven Hoods with Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, you were a dancer. You were in as a dancer, but
it was other than Bye Bye Birdie, which was, I think, my very, very first audition job. It was my second one. And,
but you moved to the center of
I did.
The line
Jack
very
Baker, who was a choreographer. Choreographers, I do the same thing to this day. You hire the people that you can work with, that are,
the casting.
And I was a new kid, and I started out in the back line. Mm-hmm. Second day I was in the middle line.
Right.
Third day I was front and center.
And why? Is it because of just they saw the spark in you, the passion?
I guess so. I guess I
because everybody was pretty and a strong dancer.
Yeah, and
showed up on time.
You can see that number on my YouTube channel.
I looked at it. I really enjoyed it.
It was.
Well, you sparkle. I mean, there's some light coming out of you that you have. I mean, it's.
Well, I really love it.
Right.
That's
what it is.
Really, really, I love dancing. I love the business, and I was born into the business.
Yeah, your mom and dad. Your dad was a band leader.
Was an orchestra leader, and my mother's side of the family were a vaudevillian act.
And she was like an acrobat as well, right?
Crazy vaudevillian act. No, they were comedic acrobatic.
That's
act.
even harder.
It's like, and you can see them on my YouTube channel.
I did.
Toni Basil's house.
Yeah.
And so as a child, I would. Because my dad was the orchestra leader first at the Carmen Theater, which I think was I think that was a burlesque house.
Where were you born?
Philadelphia.
And then moved to Las Vegas later.
No, we were there. I was there till I was 3, and then we moved to New York, where he was the orchestra leader at the Low State.
Okay.
And so at the Low State, there were vaudevillian acts, and it was, a movie and the acts, movie and acts. And so I just thought it was normal that you saw your father directing the orchestra, and my aunts and uncles were also on the stage, so it was a whole family affair.
Right.
And my father was a resident orchestra leader. So, once or twice a year on the circuit, the family would come around again, and I just lived every weekend. I lived every weekend on the side of the stage, in the wings. I stood in the wings every weekend since I was 4 years old.
Right.
But every weekend.
Right. That's what you did, right.
That's
what your family did.
In New York at the Low State, at the Chicago Theater in Chicago, and then at the Sahara Hotel. Mm-hmm. Well, at the Flamingo Hotel first, and then the Sahara Hotel.
Right.
Every weekend. Until I graduated high school. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of information.
Right.
That's a lot of information without trying. I was just like...
But you were a curious kid, right?
Well, I went to dancing class every day of my life. Mm-hmm. Every day.
Right.
And, they took me to ballets, of course, in Chicago. I got to see Eartha Kitt sing Santa Baby and New Faces. I got to see Roland Petit and Julie Jalmer.
Right.
And on on the weekends, I stood on the side of the stage and I could see from Billy Eckstein to Kay Starr to Josephine Baker. My dad actually did Judy Garland. Mm-hmm. Sinatra played there. Right. I saw everybody. I mean, I even saw, oh my God, come on, Tony. Les
Brown?
Les and Mary Ford.
Oh, are you kidding me?
So wait a minute.
Les Paul.
Paul and Mary Ford.
Yeah.
So my father was so excited. I remember he said to me, it's not a double. Her sister sings in a mic on the side of the stage. Really? Am I telling you something you don't know?
I didn't know that.
Yes.
I thought it was all the double track.
No. I mean, it was the big deal with the guitar and his sound.
I didn't know
But the sister stood on the side of the stage and sang with a mic, and the voices...
sounded so similar because of the genetics.
Yes. I mean,
that's fantastic.
So, I saw all of these things. I know... It wasn't like, the tricks of the trade. It wasn't a trick. It was just how it's made better. You do this, and there's ways to do things.
Well, that you're already answering what was going to be my first question, and I'll ask it now. But it speaks to that. One of the things that I have observed about you through your career, and also from being close to people who have collaborated with you over the years as well, including my wife, but you have this creative ability to see the big picture. And you have a skill set that makes everyone look good in a cohesive way when you're choreographing, when you're acting, when you're singing and dancing. I mean, I see it. And I'm wondering, my question was, and I'm starting to see why, where did you learn to develop that gift of seeing the big picture as a choreographer, dancer, actor, director? Was it from standing on the sidelines and just taking it in?
I mean, I was definitely talented. I am definitely talented, and I feel confident in my talent.
Right.
I mean, sometimes I hold my breath and I go, oh my God, am I going to get through this one?
Right.
And I go, come on, this is going to work.
But you're always pushing the envelope a little bit artistically.
I come with so much information.
Right.
Because... Not because I, study. It was just there every weekend for me to see. I mean, and my dad, of course, used to have me do chenets and piquets on the side of the stage for every act that ever was at the Chicago Theater.
Right.
So the little daughter danced,
Yeah.
And because of that, the acts used to bring me out on stage. Pearl Bailey used to, every time she was either at the Chicago Theater or at the Flamingo when my dad first went into Vegas, she brought me up on the stage. I mean, she always, Herb Jeffries brought me out on the stage. Mm-hmm. I was one of those little I still turn pretty good,
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and anybody in doubt, go just check out the YouTube
channel, Toni Basil's House. You see me spinning around.
Locking.
Yes.
Yeah, everything.
But so I had talent. The whole family was in show business. And that's all we knew. I got to tell you, I mean, it's unfortunate for me, but in another way, it's one of my friends says that's why the left side of my, whichever is the creative side of your brain, is that there were no books in the house. I don't ever remember book. I remember.
That's odd.
But they just, when I say they didn't read, I mean they could read.
Sure.
But there were no books.
Were there records?
There were always records. Well, when we had a Victrola, I remember when we first got a TV. But I remember in Vegas. When we got a big console, all I played over and over and over again was Nina Simone.
Yeah.
Over and over and over, because I'm obsessive with her. Over and over and over and over. But, I remember my girlfriend, Sally Egan, who was really smart in the class. And I remember her mother, it was almost like she was smuggling me a book. It was in Chicago. A Nancy Drew book.
Oh, so not a dance book.
No, a Nancy Drew book. Because I think she realized.
A little girl book.
I think she realized that there were no books in the house.
Yes.
It was like, I remember now, it was like almost a smuggling thing. And I used to read it, under the covers in bed. And I really liked them. But it wasn't like it didn't give me a hunger to start look, because this was visual. This was visual and physical.
Right. Do you enjoy reading now?
No, and I'm dyslexic.
Yeah.
So, or maybe that made me dyslexic. I don't know. I didn't do well. I did great in school except for that.
Right.
And you know what? When I first...
And you didn't know back then. Nobody knew what
There was no
dyslexic.
such thing.
Yeah.
Even when I came here and with my girlfriend Terry Garr in the 60s.
Right.
I noticed that
Terry was a dancer as well.
She was a dancer, but she, we all went to act. We went to acting class at night, like people hit bars at night.
Oh,
we would just take so much acting
and
class.
Were they scene reading, improv classes?
They were everything.
Right.
Everything.
Yeah.
Like bars. They would hit them like drunks, looking for the acting classes, who's in what class.
Right.
And, I mean, we went to some great, famous, people who became famous were in those classes. So it was extraordinary.
So is that like, did you meet some of the Jack Nicholson kind of people?
I took class. We took class in the same class with Jeff Corey. There was a class that we really loved. Terry and I really loved that. All the guys that worked with Scorsese, eventually worked with Scorsese, like Richard Romanos and David Proval, and David Soul was in the class. Shields and Yarnell was in the class.
It's great.
John Voight was in the class.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
So these classes were
Why wouldn't you want to go there every night?
But you know what I noticed? Now, scenes, learning a scene was not a problem because that's just a couple of pages.
Right.
But man, when I had to start to look at scripts, I noticed that Terry could read a script in 2.5 hours, the length of a movie.
Right.
And it would take me a week to read a script. I could only read up to 10 pages, and then I was like blown away.
Right.
I didn't know what I was reading.
You couldn't take
I'd
in
have
any
to
more
take
information.
notes,
Right.
all sorts of things. And I just thought, I didn't think I was stupid. I just thought she was brilliant.
Okay.
But of course, later on down the line, I realized, oh my God.
Yeah.
And when people say, well, you want to read my script? I'd love you to read. I go, oh, you don't know. It's like, I don't read scripts in 2.5 hours.
Right.
I really have to. With Quentin's film, it was fine because he doesn't give out a script. He just gives out the pages you're to work on.
Yes.
So that was a walk in the park.
That really, what you just said, I wanted to take you back to that because you said, I didn't feel like I was stupid. I just thought that my friend was brilliant. And that kind of speaks to this confidence that you clearly were instilled. Maybe did your parents, were they like supportive? Where did you get that?
Oh, they were supportive because I think they saw right away I had talent.
Yeah. So
they see this child who like spins around. Although for a ballet dancer, my feet were awful, and I remember.
You didn't have a good turnout or point? Or
I didn't have a good turnout.
Okay.
I didn't have the feet for point shoes. My turns were spectacular, and so were my jumps. I danced like a boy,
Yeah.
And I remember they tried to put me in all these toe shoes to make my feet look better, and they went the wrong direction. If they were, in those days, because that's like the 40s and the 50s, they did not understand how to deal with the body.
Right.
And they
wasn't
did
that
all
until
the
like
wrong
Merce
things.
Cunningham and some of them, or like
Merce Cunningham
Petit.
didn't exist yet.
Oh, not even right.
No.
Okay.
But they really did all the wrong things to develop my feet. I mean, totally the wrong things. Totally with the wrong things. But it I don't know. If I would have become a ballet dancer, my career would have been over by now.
Right.
But I probably would have been still choreographer. But I was much more into. I was fascinated by the American musicals and because I saw all those films. Don't forget, I saw people live, and then there was a movie live. My dad did maybe 4 to 7 shows a day, 4 shows, and if it was a big act on the weekend, 7 shows.
Right.
So there was also the American musical movie. So I saw movies every weekend too. And I was just always fascinated with the type of choreography that Jack Cole did, and that, of course, the Nicholas brothers.
Oh, aren't they great?
So I was always, I saw that so much as a child. I saw there was a different kind of dance other than just the ballet class I was sent to.
Right, because when I saw you and went back in preparation for our conversation, watching some of the old movies and videos, and your dancing was always in film was always very aggressive and playful, and I wouldn't think of it as masculine, except in that it was definitely like it had.
Energy.
It had energy, strength, very feminine. But you were like you were wild. You would fling yourself around, and in a controlled way because you had your ballet training.
I did like a lot of humor. I found things. I loved it when it was spectacular.
Yeah,
and I also loved it when it was funny. I did a lot of funny pieces, like Shopping A to Z is very funny. Let's see, Little Red Book is very funny. There's a lot of, tongue in cheek, and because I love the musical comedy where the where the women were also funny when they danced, or Donald O'Connor, who when he danced, there was a lot of sense of humor to what he was doing. I saw all that. So I mean, it's just, I saw it. And don't forget, my mother's side of the family were acrobatic comedians. So their whole act was funny. You know, they would flip around and they would get laughs. So, well, there you go. You know, oh, that's what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to flip around and get laughs.
You know, it's reminding me that it seems like it would be a very natural physical move for you in your choreography and dance. But in the Mickey video with the now outlawed move of, you know, cheerleaders diving, you know, through a formation.
3 tiers.
3
tiers is outlawed.
But that, I could see where that would just make complete sense for you to do and feel very natural in the way you were brought. Plus, again, you push the envelope.
Oh, there's a lot of humor. I mean, a lot of humor in my moves when I'm singing the song that interpret the lyrics. And, you know, I'm punching a lot in it and doing all sorts of funny little quirky things that help explain the lyric.
Tell me about your singing. Did you sing as a little girl as well? Or
not
did it come
as
later?
much as dancing. Because we just thought that you just sang. You just sang. So I didn't go to singing class. I went to dancing class morning, noon, and night. I took piano.
So you had obligatory music lessons since your dad was a musician.
That. But I just kind of, come on along and listen to the lullaby, you know, or all these tunes. What was the other one? Lullaby Broadway. As a little teeny child, I sang a lot to all these acts on the side of the stage, as well as doing the spins. But my mama done told me that I did a lot. I mean, what is this 5-year-old singing this my mama done told me for? But, you know, I just sang. I really wish they would have taken me to singing class. I mean, and then, you know, I came out here. I did West Side Story was one of the first things, which we sang. And then right away I did Anita. And you would have thought I needed some vocal training for that, but I just didn't think so. I just jumped right in, you know. You know what's hard for me, though, and that's the only thing I wish I would have taken a lot of classes for, is harmony. I make Melanie, I make your wife try to sing harmony so that I get used to it. I mean, I have to start on the other side of the room singing harmony and work my way towards her till I'm sure of my part. Harmony, but maybe that's my dyslexia too, because there's a lot in the math in harmony.
It's very mathematical.
It's very mathematical.
It's there's an intuition involved, but yes.
And so I don't know, technical. But you know, I'd love to work if I had.
Well, why don't you?
Well, because it takes money and time.
Mostly, it takes time.
It takes time because now you can go on YouTube and learn harmony. Yeah, which I just discovered 3 days ago. Literally, I just discovered it 3 days ago. And there's all these crazy singing classes. I mean, there's all these people teaching how to sing vibrato. Well, the technique, I mean, that the approaches each, they're really funny. They're funny and they're helpful. Everybody is like a little bit helpful. And then some are really off the wall.
Some people, you don't have to know what you're doing to put information
You don't have to know what you're doing at all to put any information
you can be completely wrong.
Online, anywhere, on YouTube. There's just, you can just... You know, if you can, it's like everyone's a snake oil salesman. You know, I mean, and if they can grift you into it, you know, like a bunch of grifters. It's fantastic.
It kind of is.
And I do see that going through Facebook. You know, I see a lot of stuff that I go, this is photoshopped. Who's kidding? Where do you buy this? And I just see people, you know, putting things through that it's just mischievous, just trying to stir up trouble. You know, it's just pretty shocking.
Or people wanting to just get attention.
Really shocking. It's really shocking what goes on out there, and yet on the other hand,
I would think you don't shock easy either. So that's a big statement.
Some of the stuff is appalling,
right?
But on the other hand, I love that I can go to YouTube and look at all this vibrato stuff and harmony, and oh my God, there's so much information. I know I fell into the rabbit hole.
That's what I call it.
For when I was working on Bette's Showgirl Must Go On.
Right.
And do you know how many times and ways I've choreographed Do You Want to Dance?
Yeah. I can't imagine.
I've done like 9 tours of hers.
Yeah.
Every tour she sings at, and every tour I got to come up with another
something new
concept.
Right.
I mean, we've done it with hoop skirts and big lanterns coming down. We've done it on treadmills.
Right.
We've done it, and I fell down a rabbit hole of finding all this traditional Asian dancing with fans, with umbrellas, with very long sleeves, which is very Korean. And I kind of created a whole number with umbrellas from the inspiration from YouTube. So, I mean, I bitch about what's on there and what's on, Facebook.
Right.
But on the other hand, oh my God, you can get so much information. So, and lots of times, with ballets that are coming into town or play, I can just go onto YouTube. Somebody is either just shot it from, illegally, and you can see a section of it.
Sure.
You go, oh shit, I don't want to see this.
Right.
Because I cannot stand the music.
Yeah.
So I don't spend the money.
Right. Oh.
Or you can just see the trailer, because every Broadway show has a trailer.
Right.
Every show has a trailer. You see, you know, and you go, I don't want to go.
Right. You
I
get
want
most
to
of
go.
the story. Yeah.
So it has its good stuff and it has its bad stuff.
One of the things that I know about you is that you are a teacher and a mentor. That's part of what you do, but you're also a perpetual student.
Oh,
yeah, and
go to class.
Yeah,
go to class. Go to class.
And go to clubs and go. Yeah. And you're always finding like some 20-year-old that's doing something cool. And
with street dance, it's never developed at the dance studio. With street dance, it's organic and it literally comes out of the street. So it's either you can find it in the club if you know what night and what day and where to go.
Right.
Or, where they're practicing in some parking lot.
Right.
I mean, we would find, I know the when the crumping started to get developed, I mean, I knew down just on Redondo, where the kids were practicing.
Right, you knew which part of the hood it came from and went there.
Or you'd hear on Thursdays, it was across the street in the park from the fire, from the firehouse.
Right.
And it was pretty interesting to see the crumping in this parking lot, but the fire engines would be always coming out. So there's crumping, and it had its own lighting because the red lights would, go around, and the sirens. It would fit right in. And here's this parking lot of these crumper kids, and yet other kids would come in from Japan. Fly in from Japan to battle them in this parking lot.
Right.
Because, so, you have to just know through word of mouth where things are and where they're being created. Because by the time it's out there, by the time, we're locking, it was, developed 4 years before.
Sure, right.
Before popping was on Soul Train.
Right.
It was, So all these things are happening years before they surface out there in TV land.
So you were part of a very cool group that really just shifted the whole dance.
Changed the face of dance.
It is. That's the quote, and it's all over the internet. Anytime you read about the Lockers, that's what it says, and it's true. And you even won a hip hop award.
Oh yeah, the Living Legend of Hip Hop Award from Hip Hop International.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah,
and deserved. But what was that collaboration? I want to talk about collaboration.
Well,
what was that group like for you?
Well, it was Don Campbell. I remember I always stayed up on the dances, because I went to all the go-go clubs in the 60s, and then I was winning dance contests on Sunset Strip. Ethel Merman judged one of them.
She did?
Absolutely.
Did you get to talk with her?
No, she thought it was funny.
Okay.
I remember she laughed and she thought it was funny.
Okay.
But it was, fabulous at Ethel Merman.
It was still thrilling. You weren't...
Thrilling. And of course I won. I won all my dance contests. And then...
And were they you get $50 or were there prizes?
I can't even remember if we got paid anything.
Yeah, okay.
Other than just, we won.
You won.
We won. Because in the locking days, before the lockers were formed, the dance contests were at small bars. Not where we hung out, but we'd leave where we hung out to go to the contest.
Okay.
And they were in bars, for $50 or something. Yeah. But I remember to jump back to the 60s, late 60s, because there was the Whiskey A Go-Go, there was the Trip, there were all Gazzari's, there were all these different Sunset Strip clubs that had contests throughout the 60s.
And go-go dancers in cages and all that stuff.
Yeah. And then...
Was that offensive to you at all? Or was it just fun?
No, it was fabulous.
Exciting. And
oh my God. Those girls were worshipped.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And then I did the beach movies.
Those are great.
Go to YouTube, my YouTube channel. You see me, doing go-go in bikinis.
In bikinis, you want to see some serious core work because you're spinning and not falling in the sand.
Sand we're spinning in a bikini,
right? And looking great.
And and I don't know why we didn't get sunstroke, but
I was wondering about that.
Oh my God, yeah. But anyway, so towards 68, 67, I was choreographing the cool ones. 68, 69, I choreographed Head, the Monkees film.
And did a duet.
Yeah, and did the famous, one of Quentin Tarantino's, told me it's one of his most favorite musical numbers in American.
Well, it's very classic.
It's
up there with Fred and Ginger.
Wow. So then, because of the Rafelson and the Jack Nicholson, I was asked to audition for Easy Rider. Mm-hmm. And
did you have an agent manager back
then?
It was all
no. It was all this network. It was just us.
Yeah,
it was just us.
Right.
Dennis Hopper, Easy Rider. No, there was no agent.
Yeah.
But there was a casting director called Fred Roos, who became the casting director for The Godfather,
Yeah.
So, and of course, Dennis was incredibly creative and, so I got involved with Easy Rider, 5 Easy Pieces, and there was not a lot of, I wasn't going to contests. And then we were in Cannes and I was away. And I came back to the Sunset Strip in 69 and there was nothing. And there was no dance. There was no dance on the Sunset Strip. And I always knew there was always dance somewhere. So I asked, there was not a lot of TV go-go shows anymore.
Right.
Shindig, Hullabaloo, it was over. But there was still... I don't know whether it was a real Don Steele or I don't remember what show it was or whether it was Hollywood A Go-Go. I said, find me the best kid dancer. I need to catch up. I literally called up a girlfriend that I knew was still on one of those shows. And she found me this guy, Lamont Peterson, who ended up co-starring in a Michael Bennett play on Broadway because he could sing. And that I introduced him to Michael Bennett. And he didn't understand taking a class in street, which wasn't even called street at the time. But we met up on Adams or Washington Boulevard in a little rehearsal room in a small theater on either Adams or Washington. And we met up a couple of times, and he taught me the bump. He caught me up with the bump and what was happening. And he said, there's this guy, Don Campbell, and he's created a dance called the Campbellockie. You might be interested. He said, I don't do it. He was gay. Mm-hmm. And the gay clubs were the gay clubs and the straight clubs are the straight clubs to this day.
Right.
You know, and the dance styles were different.
But you were accepted in either circle or club, right?
Really, these clubs, this is clubs on the Sunset Strip were mixed black and white. Mm-hmm. But this is getting into the hood.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So these clubs, all of a sudden, he said, but we can look for, I said, let's look for him. Mm-hmm. So we would go to these clubs. He would take me to clubs. Mm-hmm. I had no idea where I was going. And there was a fight on the dance floor one night at this strange club. And I said, what are they fighting about? He said, room to dance on. And I went, this is where I want to be.
Right.
Oh, I want to be where they're fighting about room to do your steps. Not,
These are my people.
This is my people. So one night at Osco's, which was at that time, Osco's is eventually where they shot Thank God It's Friday, where La Cienega and San Vicente merge. Yeah. Where all where those big, where, the what's there now? Well, there's Lowe's, or there's department stores.
Right.
So we were there at Osco's dancing, and through the side door flew this guy in with these striped socks and these crazy hats and did this crazy dance, and it reminded me of my family. It reminded me of the act.
I can see why.
And he said, that's Don Campbell. And I said, he didn't need to tell me it was. I just knew.
Yeah.
And it was the most interesting and exciting dance that I'd seen since James Brown, because I was an assistant choreographer on that Tammy show.
Yeah. And I know that when you saw James Brown, that really changed.
That changed my style.
Yes.
I mean, I could see that when I soloed in Village of the Giants. Jack Nietzsche wrote me a piece of music to solo me in. My dance style radically changed. I was mixing jazz and go-go, but I was trying to do his splits. I was trying to do his wiggle feet.
Well, you were doing it. I mean, I saw some of that.
Yeah, you could see, I could see now I look at it and I could see the radical change in my style.
Right.
So anyway,
and James Brown's style continued to evolve as well.
James Brown's style is still popular now. I mean, because every street dancer still worships James Brown and wants to dance like him.
That's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys. Oh, it's not just the dancers. It's the band. It's how he improvisationally created his shows, and the band and the Flames never took their eyes off of him, because he would stop and start and jump.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so exciting.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dan Campbell was the most exciting thing I had seen since James Brown, and then he disappeared. I didn't even get to talk to him. And then Lamont called me a week after the first Soul Train, and he called me and he said, "Hey, we're all on Soul Train. All these people that, that Don Campbell, and we go to a club down the street, which was a club called the Citadel, because they shot Soul Train at KTLA, which was on Hollywood Boulevard. Right. And they would walk down after filming to the club. And he said, and so...
Some of those kids were still in high school, though, that were dancing on Soul Train.
Yeah, you had to be 17, 18, though. Yeah. A lot of them had just gotten out of high school.
Yeah.
So, I went down there that next night. The next time the club was.
Right, you don't let any tumbleweeds go by. I mean,
no, we let no time go by. We let no time go by. I drove down from Topanga Canyon, because I was living in Topanga Canyon at the time. Yeah. And that was a drive. So
that's true. That's pretty far out there.
That's far out there. So and I walked into a real live musical, because all these dancers, once I started hanging out with Don, and I mean, they would dance. And when I say they would dance in their house or they would dance in the car, they would literally, because there was a lot of arm work to locking. I mean, if the song was on, the arm was locking and pointing outside the window. If we were in the kitchen, they would get up and dance to the refrigerator.
To the rhythm of the sound of the refrigerator?
And open the refrigerator door. Mm-hmm. This is like the American musicals I saw, where Gene Kelly would do these numbers in a, you know, or Donald O'Connor. Yeah. They do those famous numbers where he'd run up on the couch and throw over the couch.
Sure.
And so I saw it all came together.
Right.
This is an American musical, but it's real.
Yeah.
And so were the gunshots also.
Absolutely.
It was all real.
Right.
It was all real. Mm-hmm. So exciting. It was amazing. And the clubs, I mean, the go-go clubs were great in the 60s, but it was very boy-girl. It was still partnering. It wasn't holding on anymore, like the bop. Mm-hmm. But it was partnering with the bump, partnering until about midnight. Mm-hmm. And then at midnight, people hooked up, left the club, and all the really, really obsessive dancers would stay because there was room. They didn't have to fight over room. There was room. And it wasn't like it even is now where there's circles. It was the people that locked. The style of dance that Don created was very, very theatrical. People wanted to dance on the tables. They looked for staircases to jump off of. Yeah. You know, and it was very conversational. It was very interesting. It was like a real live musical.
Yeah.
So that's that time period of locking. Plus, people dressed like Don in striped socks, Snickers, apple hats. So it had this whole costume that went with it.
Right.
It was not difficult to figure out how to put a group together when, you know, it was really what the challenge was, can in 3 minutes that they give you on TV, can
you tell the whole story?
Can I give a platform to these people that is worthy of what I'm seeing in the club, what I'm seeing 3 and 4 hours after when they're geared up and they're flying all around, when they're warmed up. Can I, in those 3 minutes that I'm given,
express that and capture
authentic?
Right. Authenticity is very
because
clear.
I knew the authenticity was what was key to this.
Right.
And I did. Because I didn't have to make up steps. The steps were there.
Right.
The steps, I could see the steps in the club. I could see at night when Shabadoo and Greg would all of a sudden start doing unison together. I'd go, okay, we're going to do those 8 counts. And then you just kind of, like the club and what was happening in the club would be another musical number if I just shuffled it around and put it together and picked the right song. And everybody soloed and I didn't have to choreograph the solos. No. The solos were improvisation.
Right.
So we were really a bunch of soloists that kind of, I was needed to weave together something that looked cohesive. And that's something that could be shot, and something that could, at sound check, do a camera check too. You know?
Yeah.
So, and I knew how to do it because I was an improvisational person.
In dance and acting, which I know really brought a lot to informing your work.
All that street stuff is all improvisation. I knew how to put together an act, and this was an act. This was an opening act, like my family was.
Right.
I knew the elements because it was an opening act. We opened up for Sinatra at Carnegie Hall. We opened up for Jimmy Dean at the MGM Grand, John Davidson, Bill Cosby we opened up for in Tahoe.
Right.
We opened up for the Funkadelics at Radio City. We were an opening act, just like my family. And I knew exactly what that was about.
Right, yeah.
So between what was happening and what Don had created, and there was not a lot of dancers that danced at that level. So these group of guys that were spectacular. And look what came out of that act. Fred Berry became a television star. He became Rerun on What's Happening.
Right.
And Shabadoo became a matinee idol. He starred in Electric Boogaloo and Breaking. I mean...
Well, and you too. It propelled your career.
And then I became... Yeah. But I had sung... Yes, I started singing in 70... a lot. I did a song in 67 called Breakaway.
That you released?
That was released by A&M Records.
Okay.
That became a Northern Soul hit, if you know about Northern Soul.
No.
Northern Soul was a style of music that Northern England, these kids would dance to Motown, or what was even better was Motownish sounding songs that weren't famous.
Right.
And Breakaway is one of them. It's on my channel.
Yeah.
So that became a Northern Soul hit. And they released 45s, not with I recorded Breakaway and I'm 28 was the major
B-side.
side. No, it actually was the A side.
Okay.
Breakaway was the B side.
Right.
But Breakaway became the more,
it got the attention.
And in Northern Soul, they would give the kids 45s with one artist on one side and a different artist on the other side.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
right.
So I forget who was on the flip side of mine, but then I got involved in acting,
right?
And then the Lockers, and then I went, you know what? And I was at the same time I was doing the Lockers, I was doing Bette, Bowie, and Tina.
Right.
I mean, how much more information can a person have than standing on the side of the stage for their whole life, working? Being on stage with these guys, putting this show together, working with Tina, Bette, and Bowie.
Right.
I was ready to do it again for myself. It was just...
That makes sense.
It was just time.
How did you stay focused, centered, and healthy physically and emotionally through those kind of... that period of your life? I mean, most of your life has been that way, but I mean, when you were doing all these things, how do you not melt down?
I
think
you
I
eat
was
healthy?
Young. You're just young and fearless and focused.
Yeah, and I was doing Bowie and flying back to do Disneyland with the Lockers and putting that together. But it was all so inspiring.
Sure.
It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to do this gig because I need the bread.
Everything was exciting.
Everything was exciting. I wanted to. Why wouldn't I want to work with all these? It was art.
Right, and I think each of those things inform the other things. I was watching a clip of David Bowie, and there was this one move that you choreographed where these two guys flung him, into like a worm kind of thing to where he's standing on his feet, but it was very physical, extremely. And I had to play that back again to watch that, and because I thought that's so fantastic. It's so committed. It's so daring.
Well, yeah.
And with Bette, of course,
everyone was fearless.
Well, okay. And with
the Lockers are fearless.
Right.
Bette's fearless. Bowie's fearless.
Right. Tina Turner.
They all fearless.
Yeah, and fierce.
And fierce.
All of these people.
And just this work ethic. Now the Lockers' work ethic was a little bit different, but you see, everybody danced in these clubs for 5 hours a night. So it wasn't like
they
rehearsal.
had the stamina too.
The stamina, that the steps were being created.
Right.
They were just every week there were new steps, new stuff. So I don't know how we got to where we got to, because I just roll on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was doing all of it at the same time.
So I want to talk about collaboration for a moment. Especially, and these three artists are really good choices of the many, many incredible artists that you've worked with.
And David Byrne.
Well, yeah,
and David Lee Roth.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those videos are iconic. Yeah, with
David Byrne chopping at his arm.
Of course.
Iconic.
Yeah. But just let's include David Byrne too, because that's an also a valid part of this conversation, as most of these artists are that you work with. But the collaborative process, how different is it with Bette, with David Byrne, with Bowie, with Tina Turner? And
all
a different approach.
All a different approach.
Yes.
Where they come from, or meaning come from, you suss it out really quickly. It's a lot of psychology because none of these people that we're naming need to dance like me.
Right.
I have to give them back what they've got going.
Right.
Then, of course, the Harlettes with Bette, they dance like me, but they sing better.
They're pretty amazing.
Ooh, baby.
Yeah.
Tina. Tina used to like to see me dance. Joe Roger, go on and dance. Do it. I'll sing it, you dance it. But, I would have paid her to do her show.
I get that.
I would have paid her. Yeah. How much do I pay you to do your show?
What do I owe you?
Are you mean you're paying me to do this?
Right.
You're paying me to be in the same room with you? Excuse me? So, because every day was a learning experience, because she would be, she's like a queen, but she's in the dressing room working on the girls' weaves.
Right. I remember when I first moved to LA, when I was working with the Crusaders, with Joe Sample and the Crusaders, and they did a song with Tina. And I came to the studio one night, and Tina was in the studio in the control room, minding her business, not singing, not anything. I walk in, and there was just like this energy coming from her that really showed me what a star really was.
Yeah, no, they all are intense.
Yes.
They're not laid back.
And there's no accident about it.
David Byrne has this laid back, quiet, but I'm telling you, the motor is going all the time. All the time. And everybody had a different approach, and you just have to quickly figure out what the approach is and where we go from
And a lot of that quickly figuring out the beginning part of the collaborative process is very observational and just following your intuition. I would imagine some of it is conversation. What do you need me to do? Or a lot of it is just your ability to observe and find your place in the creative process in serving the artist, the song, the show. Is that true? Is it just sort of...
Yeah, you figure out what they need and what you can offer and what you can add to what they already, how you can embellish what they've already got. And then within a couple of days, you can figure out what they don't have and what you can add.
Right. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would take it that you love collaborating.
I do.
Yeah,
with people that
you respect and that respect you.
Yeah, but you know what? Yeah, I tell you something. A whole nother way of choreographing is people who come in where the record company, can you do something with my act?
Right.
That's a whole nother approach, and I enjoy that.
Yeah.
I really love it when the record company brings me an act, and then 2 or 3 weeks later, they can't believe how these people have blossomed.
Yeah.
And so... I enjoy that too.
And part of that, your gift, I think.
Which is alchemy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really, I enjoy finding a way to really help people that need help.
And to help them shine. You find what is going to be workable for them. This little thing that you see, and then you make it broader.
Yep.
And you do that with yourself. You turn that light inwards also with yourself as a recording artist.
I think I can step back from myself. Yeah, I always refer to she, when I'm editing myself.
Right.
I can, it takes me a while.
Sure.
Because I probably try to do too much, but thank God I can film myself and go, what the hell is she doing?
Right, that makes sense too.
This doesn't make, you don't need to do that, or you can do that, and you start to, because I know we're in my dance studio. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, I'm sitting in Toni's dance studio, and we're having
and
a conversation.
I rehearse with a lot of people in here before we go into the big, money places to rehearse.
Well, this is
with the sets.
I'm in your sanctuary. This is your creative place where you sing, you dance, you work on your own performance, and you work with other people as well.
Yeah, and
it's great to be here.
And I improvise. And then I film it, and I look back at it, and I go, "Oh no, you don't."
So you video here in this room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and
there's of course it's a
there's a mirror, even though there's a mirror,
right?
Even though there's a mirror, all I have to do is, even though if I'm facing the mirror, if I turn away from the mirror and film myself, and I go, "Oh no, you don't.
Right.
You're not dancing as big. You're not spitting." Mm-hmm. But even if I'm facing the mirror and I film myself.
You see different things from that perspective.
I do, and I sometimes I can't get out of the room until I fix it.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
And
I'm obsessive that way in my recording and writing.
Yeah. So I need to film myself and step and become the choreographer, and even look at this girl improvising and going, man, this is. This is not strong. Mm-hmm. This is horrible. This is horrible. How can you even consider doing this? It's so terrible. I'm really hard on myself.
Yeah.
I just will not.
I'm not surprised.
And I tell you, because I work with Tina. I work with Bette.
Right. You know where the bar is.
Bowie.
Right.
I know the bar.
Yeah. You've helped set it.
The bar.
Right.
and I.
Right. So you're not going to allow yourself to slip below that.
No, and I'm going to give myself what I give them.
Do you forgive yourself when you are judging yourself critically and saying that's not going to?
It's not about physics. It's not about.
You don't judge yourself.
No. I just get up and fix it.
You fix it, right? It's
just fix it,
right?
And I mean that's understandable because when I choreograph for other people, I fix it.
Exactly.
We fix it.
Yeah, you're solution-oriented artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, it's not like that.
Let's talk about...
It's rehearsal. I love to rehearse.
What is it about rehearsal that you love?
Well, it's a growth. It's the growth, and it's the journey. It's a creative journey. It's really a great creative journey. I mean, to try things. You know who's fabulous, who's really fabulous to rehearse with is Lily Tomlin.
No kidding.
Oh, my God. I did a piece for her from her, what's her famous... oh my God, help me. We're going to do it. What's the name of the thing she won a Tony for? In the Universe.
Oh, right. I don't remember the name either.
Well, we
can look it up. Let's Google it.
We have to look it up.
We have the technology.
We have the technology. Lily Tomlin's famous Broadway show. Okay. In Search for Signs of Intelligent Life in the Universe. So...
Still looking.
I was actually at the Shoemaker on Sunset Boulevard, a very famous shoemaker. Mm-hmm. And she was in there, and she said, "You know what? I'm going to redo at the Dorothy Chandler my show, and I'd like to change one of the pieces, and I'd like you to work with me on it."
From a dance or choreographic or directing? Directing.
And she wanted to make it more physical.
Okay.
And it was the piece that was Agnes. Mm-hmm. Agnes was a performance artist. Mm-hmm. So she worked with sounds, and we worked with a drummer and all sorts of different wonderful sounds. But what was great about her is she loved to try things. Mm-hmm. And if it didn't work, she never panicked. She never thought, oh, we're going to, like some artists who panic and they go, this isn't any good.
Right.
She would go, she knew there was a lot of lanes.
She'd like peeling the layers back of a piece. Yeah, a lot
of lanes we could go down. Well,
yeah.
Let's try this.
Yeah.
Let's try this. There was no, oh my God, this doesn't work. What are we going to try? It was, It was, okay, that was a journey. Now let's try this. Okay, that was a journey. Now let's try this. Boy, she is a pleasure to work with.
I find that luxurious, that part of rehearsal, when you get into the nuance of breaking things down, sectionals. And
some people don't have the time. Some people don't give themselves enough time.
That's why I find it a luxury. And I've only, from the work that I've done in television, you don't really have that time. But then when I've worked on tours, when you camp out for 4 weeks at Third Encore,
that's right.
On a soundstage, you really get to circle the music and try different ways.
That's right. Every medium,
making it better.
Every medium is a different approach, and that as a choreographer, you have to know that too. The amount of time. Yes, I can choreograph a West Side Story, but I don't have that time, and you're not that dancer. So we have to take another approach. You have to size up the time that you've got and the artist that you've got. Yeah.
Let's talk about your singing and your artist career as a performer. And as a singer, and how a lot of people know you. You just released a
new Mickey.
A new Mickey.
It's not new. It's an Exacta-like.
It's an Exacta-like. And it just came out this week.
Yes. Thanks to you and your connections. And I was able to get this right out there so quickly.
I'm excited for you. And it's up on CD Baby.
Yeah. And it's on all those streaming platforms.
Right. Any place you can find music, it is there.
That CD Baby gets everything out there. Yeah. And go to Hey Mickey.
Right.
You can tell that, the original Mickey is Mickey, and mine is Hey Mickey.
Hey Mickey.
Because everybody started to call it Hey Mickey because of the chant.
Right. Yeah. The iconic chant.
The iconic chant.
So what inspired you or possessed you or to put out this
because I wasn't seeing any money.
Yeah,
it's as easy as that.
It's a great
Prince
reason.
did it,
right?
But he redid everything.
Yeah,
and Donna Summers redid a lot of her stuff. I've only done Mickey and Shopping A to Z.
Yeah,
which will be going up very soon, like within a week, I think.
But you own the master now.
But now I own the master, and actually I control that. If somebody downloads it, I see the money.
That's right. And if somebody wants
to hire a lawyer
every time
to get the money
or to chase it,
it's crazy,
isn't it?
Yes, and that people choose not to pay people for their work. I would just think karmically they'd be worried that it's going to come
give
back.
A shit
but a lot of people are sociopathic. And they just figure that's the name of the game.
Well, I've seen to the point, and I know you have too, that some people get off on it. It's in a way, that's their creative.
No, that's their art form.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
right.
That's what they're good at.
Yeah.
That's what they're good at.
Right. It's in the same way that we can come up with a song or a dance.
No, I mean, if you watch the politicians, we won't talk about politics.
Yeah.
But if you watch what's going on right now, it's not what's truth or what's not truth. It's not what's moral, what's immoral. It's just how clever and how you can circle the wagons and how you can get away with, murder.
Right.
It's really how good your lawyers are, how clever you are, and how much money you've got to keep the suits going. So it's like...
Well, I congratulate you for empowering yourself to put out something that you own.
Oh,
something that you created.
But the thing is I didn't have any TV tracks to sing with. They took everything.
Right.
So every time I performed Mickey, I was either lip syncing to my song.
Yeah.
Or I had to sing, if I was singing live, it had to be with the band.
Right.
Because I did not have TV tracks.
And you don't need to lip sync. You're a singer. You're good. You're very good at that.
Yeah. One of my most favorite live singing was, actually, I wasn't dancing to Mickey. It's on my channel. What does it say? God, it's like a rock and roll version of Mickey. It's really good.
I have to look for it.
Yeah, I forgot how it was on one of the nighttime shows. And the other one is Street Beat, which I did singing live with, 12 male dancers and 7 flag twirlers and all sorts of... And that's a really great number, Street Beat. It's on my channel, and I'm singing live. And I'm dancing my ass off.
And doing both.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
without very much help from the sound.
Of course, right.
It's like, where's the reverb on this for this girl? I mean, oh my God, because it was still 80, 88. So they don't have the help that you have now with singing live at those,
in-ear monitors and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, ear monitor. Oh my God.
How about
when I
first
experienced an ear monitor was on Singing Bee. I couldn't believe it.
Right.
I mean, I actually didn't have to stand next to the monitor.
Sure.
See, because for me it's a problem because I like to dance around.
Right.
So if I'm not dancing around to the monitor, I'm not hearing myself.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I was free. And I thought, well, there's no excuse for not singing on pitch anymore or anybody.
Well, I mean, a lot of, the dance pop artists, they weren't able, they didn't have the stamina to dance and sing and stay in tune. It was kind of one or the other. You have the ability to do both.
Well, I don't know if I have the ability anymore. I mean, I was really in great shape. I was thinking about it. Now you're in good shape? I'm in good shape.
Right.
But
well, you dance every day.
To sing and dance like that, I mean, like this number, like Street Beat, I can't believe it was in one take.
Yeah.
And when I was doing these PK, I remember I was doing these PK turns towards the end of the number, and I'm thinking, am I going to be able to sing after this? Because, when you're singing live and they're shooting, even though you're fine in rehearsal, there's this edge that becomes a little more difficult. And I'm spinning around thinking, oh my God, is anything going to come out of my mouth?
Right. Because, well, you don't know. Most singers don't.
Because the amount of dancing I did in that number was amazing.
Yeah.
And the spin at the end when I go down on the ground, just, okay, here it goes. Am I going to make it?
Do you ache more than you used to? I mean,
you can.
As our bodies
that's
get older.
That's why I have to dance every day.
Right.
Because if I don't dance for 3 days, it's like it takes me 3 weeks.
Sure.
Whereas, when you're even 40.
Right.
Even 40. Well, I don't know how old I was when I was doing Street Beat. I was kind of in my mid-40s.
But you were still doing high kicks.
I'm still doing high kicks.
Yeah.
But I don't.
You still have the flexibility.
But the amount of stamina I would... But, I see... Okay, I'm going to jump to Mick Jagger. Because I've worked with Mick.
Right.
And there's a work ethic. Oh, my God.
Right. He trains.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
Trains.
Yeah.
This guy, when they're, putting their show together, he has his singing teacher working with him for all those months. He has a ballet instructor working out with him, and he has the trainer from the Royal Ballet, a physical therapist. And, I mean, he's in shape.
Yes.
But that takes money.
Right.
And, so... Look, he's older than me. Only a year, but he's older than me. But, in 3 months, he can get his stuff together because nobody runs up and down that ramp like he does.
Right.
And he's singing live.
Yeah.
And, so it is doable with the right amount of training and preparation. But, you need a lot of money because you need other people
to help.
It
takes a village to train like that.
Yeah.
A support team, which oftentimes you are the support team for all these other people.
I do know what it takes.
Yeah.
And, because I was training like that, by myself to do the Smothers Brothers stuff. Yeah. Yeah, but it would take me a lot because you need the live mic. You need to rehearse and sing with the live mic.
Right.
Because at the dance studio, you're singing back to track and you're dancing, but then you get the live mic in your hand.
You have to connect it.
That's a whole nother different ball game. So you need all this equipment while you're rehearsing. And you need a mixer there.
Yeah.
And
that's why when you have a budget, you go to the soundstage for a month with a crew.
That's right. And that's when people say to me, come on, let's do it again. Toni, look, we can do. I'm going, you where's the budget? You have no idea who's gonna buy the costumes? You're gonna, where are these costumes gonna come from?
Right.
Where's all this budget money? I'd love to do it again. I would love to do it. I mean, I'm singing with your wife a lot now.
Yeah, right.
We trade classes. She dances and I sing, and we both struggle. And
it's great for both of you. You have a history.
We realized, we thought, oh, well, we can do this. We can make a trade in 2 hours. And then we realized, no, we need 4 hours because we talk, we text bet.
Yeah.
We do all sorts of other things, which
is shiny object a little bit.
Yeah, very shiny
going off course, but it's also part of...
But it's fun because I keep saying to Melanie, look, this is for no reason. It's just for the joy of art. We're just doing this. It doesn't matter. We can change the key.
Right.
We can change songs. We don't have to, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm doing that a little bit. I'm singing a lot of 60s tunes because all of a sudden I've been around all this 60s music with Quentin.
Right. Who calls you the Queen of Go-Go?
The goddess of
goddess,
go-go.
Excuse me.
The goddess of go-go.
Yeah, that's so perfect.
Goddess of go-go. and I'm diving into all my pictures, looking for, can't I find something with fringe on where I'm dancing and I can make a T-shirt and do Goddess of Go-Go? Because I do have a T-shirt line.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Is that up on your website?
You go to tonibasil.net.
Right.
And just go look for the merchandise page.
Right.
And you can...
By the way, everybody, you can go to that for all things Toni because your links to your video channel, your bio,
is it all there? Because my YouTube channel is Toni Basil's House. The merchandise page is on my tonibasil.net. I do have a lot of Facebook. I have the Lockers Facebook. Mm-hmm. I have the official Lockers Facebook, the official Toni Basil. Right. I have a regular Toni Basil. I have an Instagram that, oh my God, it's
there's not enough hours in the day.
No, I can't. I have friends that are
I have the same problem as an artist. Like
Bette and Tina and Bo, they have people. Yeah. But then the street dancers don't have people. But they can just put things up and do stuff that take me an hour and a half. And they go,
ask a 12-year-old, right?
Yeah,
with the technology.
Ask a 12-year-old. So, and then I have, everything on all those streaming platforms. And the Instagram is just the official Toni Basil. The Twitter is at Toni_Basil. And how many more things can a person have?
Well, that should cover it, but it really doesn't.
I got a thing from CD Baby saying, "Oh, we have your music for TikTok." I thought, TikTok?
What?
Don't go there with me. Please don't go there with me. And then my friend who runs this phenomenal dance competition in Amsterdam that I just lust after. It's just a week of the greatest street dancers.
And you judge for
world.
That?
I judge the locking.
Right.
And he has this whole week. It's locking, 100 contestants for the locking, 200 for popping, 300 enter for house, and 400 enter for hip hop. Now, I'm only allowed to be in any of all of us in the street dance community, which is a huge community, we only can judge what we've danced.
Good.
So I wouldn't judge breaking.
Right.
And the breakers would not judge locking.
Right.
I can judge all styles.
Back to the authenticity.
I can judge all styles.
You have the vocabulary and the ability, but there's something.
Yeah, no, but it's off limits. It's just off limits.
Okay.
And then he has 3 days of classes for all these kids of the greatest street dancers. You have the choice to take, there's 20 classes a day. 20. So there's 5 classes going on at once, so you can't do 5 at once.
Right.
But you could just take class after class after class after class. So I love this event. So they do these damn chain letters and this shit that I tell them I do not.
Right.
And they have this thing where you put a picture out every day for when you think you danced fierce, and then nominate. And I'm saying to him, please, do not nominate me for this. And he goes, but it's easy. All you have to do is, I said, no, you don't understand. Yeah. It's not easy.
Yeah.
I can't do it. Yeah. It would take me all day long. Yeah. And they cannot wrap their heads around it.
Sure. Yeah.
They cannot, because I'm trying to just manage.
I say just be fierce and what you do, continue to do every day, because you don't stop. We said at the beginning of the conversation, there's no time for tumbleweeds to show up.
Well, no, I mean, but it's not like I kind of lust after it. I love to watch dance, so I'm always into seeing what's happening and what's new. And, we in the underground know what's new and what's happening. We're able to see that. And I just, and I love to dance. Yeah. And, when I judge these dance competitions, we have, as the head judges, we have to do a judge's demo before we judge the final battle.
Okay.
So, I have a legacy, and I do not need to blow it.
Right.
So I need to dance. And that is part of why I'm continuing to dance, is because I will not shame myself. I will just not.
Well, that's a good reason.
No, it's a very good reason.
That blended with the passion that you have, the pure, unadulterated love for dance.
So that's definitely kept me dancing.
Yeah.
Definitely kept me dancing. Just that. And then I teach these workshops, and then I work with everybody. I may be, if I'm not blowing my own horn, probably one of the only director choreographers that actually can dance.
Right.
Still dancing. All these great directors that were dancers, they have assistants. I have assistants too.
Sure.
But I'm also able to pull the steps out.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are
way over
time, which I'm loving. And let me get to my closing questions. And before,
but I thought you were just going to say, but let me get to my question.
Let me get to a question. Before I get to the closing question, I wanted to ask you, I've got 3 closing questions, but before we do that, I'm curious, it's sort of a 2-part. What lessons about art and about life have you learned on your journey, and how has your perspective changed on those things as you've gotten older?
I have no idea. Okay. I know. I mean, it's like the perspective just grows. Mm-hmm. You just get more and more information.
Right.
But if you gain information as a child, you don't drop that information. It's just you keep adding to that book of information. Mm-hmm. Your library of information. Yeah.
That's a good answer. So my closing questions are, since this show is completely unedited and then the name of the show is Making It, what does making it mean to you both personally and professionally?
I don't think there's any such thing, and I think because as a child, you did see the opening act was the dancer or the juggler, or the dancers or the tap dancers and the jugglers. The second act was the comic, and the star was always the singer. Mm-hmm. But the singers and the stars, other than like the Sinatras or the Judy Garlands, the singers were whatever was the hit record at the time. Mm-hmm. And those come and go. The opening acts were the same. Forever. Forever, my aunts forever were the opening act. So, and my dad was always the orchestra leader. So, and he wasn't the star, but he was a great... Milton Berle told me, I said, "Hi, Milton Berle. I'm Toni Basil. My dad was Lee Basil. Your dad was the best orchestra leader we ever had. We could give him charts and he could play, da-da-da." So, I had to live up to my dad's, quality. Mm-hmm. But he was always the orchestra leader. He was never out of work. He was always the orchestra leader at the Chicago Theater. Mm-hmm. We jumped to the Flamingo. We jumped to the Sahara. He was never out of work. So
it's pretty remarkable.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
So I wasn't a kid that the father was never home because he was out on the road.
Right.
And we were never out on the road. My mother's side of the family, they were out on the road.
Right.
They were doing the circuits.
But so you didn't come from a place of scarcity.
No.
You came from a place of seeing abundance and
I went to a private school, for Christ's sakes, and I went to dance class every day.
Right.
I mean, oh my God. And they thought I was talented. I saw everybody else who was talented.
Right.
So it's not about, it's the journey.
Yeah, of course.
It's just the journey, and I'm always interested. There's always, who thought that Quentin Tarantino would come, knock on my door this year or last? I mean, my God, that was like a dream job.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And I was so equipped for it.
You were. I was just going to say you were the perfect person to call for the movie.
He knows how to cast.
Yeah.
He not only casts his actors, but he knows how to cast. His AD has been with him for 7 movies. Right. I mean, he casts these people.
And just like you and Bette, have just an...
She's always trying to get rid of me. She's always trying to replace me.
Not going to happen.
And then
You're not replaceable,
She has hired other people and then fired them and rehired me because I was working for Lily at the time, so I wasn't so available.
Right.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I mean, look at Bette.
Yeah.
Look at Bette Midler.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, she's now starring on a Netflix series. She was just going to sell her apartment and move back. Well, she has a house everywhere.
Yeah.
But, she's never not. If she all of a sudden she was starring on Broadway, she won a Tony for Dolly.
Right.
I mean, she's never stops. She's really the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah.
She's really the Energizer. I remember, we didn't, the last UK tour, we did not do the wheelchairs, but the Showgirl Must Go On, she's in that fishtail, in those wheelchairs, and they stand up in those fishntails.
That is so physical.
Hop around and sing Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy.
Right.
And then get those poi balls out. And so no one can say, no one can look at you and go, oh, you're asking me to do that because she's doing it.
Right.
I mean, oh my God, she is the Energizer Bunny.
Let me ask you the last 2 questions. One of them is, can you share 3 tips for success that have driven your career?
I think that I've been eclectic.
Eclectic?
Eclectic. Mm-hmm. I think because the careers have been short in a weird way.
Yeah.
I mean, the 60s and the go-go and me dancing in those films. And then all of a sudden, I had an acting career that wasn't a long acting career. It was Easy Rider, 5 Easy Pieces, and a couple of other iconic films.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, The Lockers. And then all of a sudden, I was singing and dancing with these live shows. And then all of a sudden, recording. Mm-hmm. And then doing more live shows, recording some more. And then back and working for Bette and Bowie until he passed away, and Tina. Mm-hmm. So that is eclectic. That's really, and of course, gaining knowledge all the way through. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that's why I'm singing again. All of a sudden, I have the time. Mm-hmm. And, so I worked on all those 60s, with all that 60s music. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, and I have my own masters. And so it just happens that I have the time to sing. Mm-hmm. And
you love singing. And
I like singing.
Yeah.
I wish I was really better at it. I wish my harmony was better.
I'll help you with that.
Oh, would you?
I will.
Okay.
I'll try.
It's really, it's a struggle.
We'll give it a shot.
It's a struggle.
It's not that easy.
Yeah, it's not. And, all of a sudden, working on vibrato, because Melanie was saying, she and I just sing straight.
Right.
We hold that note.
Sure.
It's very pop. It's not, it's not that vibrato. So just all these journeys, all of it is like, and then all of a sudden I'm working on something and I don't apply it because something else comes along, and then something else comes along that, I was working on that about a year ago. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of ready to do that, But you stay open. Oh yeah.
I mean, you have an open.
Improvisation is about being open.
Right. Being present.
Being really present.
Yeah.
really present. I'm nowhere near as present improvising street dance as my friends are. My friends are the greatest. They're the greatest. Poppin' Pete, Mr. Wiggles, Henry Link. I mean, I can name so many because they battle, they improvise. They don't want to do unison. They don't do unison. This other side of their brain is really developed. Mm-hmm. You can put a song on that they don't even know, and they know where the horn line's coming. It's just bizarre. Mm-hmm. That's been a really fun thing for me to work on. Mm-hmm. Really fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I can improvise, but nothing like they can. And they can, under pressure. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely phenomenal. Mm-hmm. So it's a whole nother side of dance that is not the ballet, the training, the putting routines together. Mm-hmm. When I sing and dance, I mean, you go to street beat, that's a routine. All those things are routines. Mm-hmm. There are on my channel, Toni Basil's House, there are my judges' demos. Mm-hmm. You can see my judges' demos, which are improvisational. They have to be improvisational because that's what we're judging. Mm-hmm. But usually the judges can pick a song. But you don't know where the DJ is going to put it on.
Right.
He just might. I mean, it's loose. It's sure. It's Cowboys time. Yeah. It's just the rodeo.
Right.
And sometimes everybody goes, "Oh, let's all dance the same song." Well, you throw out that rehearsal, so you don't rehearse. David Lee Roth was that way. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to. We just work out.
Yeah.
Just give me steps. I don't want to work to my own music because I never know what Eddie's going to do.
Yeah.
So if I make a plan and Eddie changes the plan, I'm in trouble because I've planned.
Right.
So it's kind of that.
Yeah.
It's very rock and roll.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting. Everyone that I work for is better than I am at what I do. It's just that I kind of put everything together and make my own little thing I try to give back to me what I've assembled.
Well, that's where your magic is.
I try to give back to me what I'm able to do for other people. Mm-hmm. But it does take a while because sometimes, look, if I'm doing these, especially if I'm doing television, if I'm camera blocking and I'm in it,
right.
I need somebody to do me so I can stand out with the camera block. You
need another eye or
point of view. Oh my God. Yeah. But it's fun.
Yeah.
The process is it's incredible.
Well, I get that. Sitting here with you in your studio, I feel your joy and your passion, and I understand why it's so natural for you to abandon yourself and just immerse yourself completely. You don't hold back in your work.
No, and I've been on stage, so like a lot of choreographers and directors, they haven't been the artist.
You've been
I've been the artist.
Right.
So I also know what that's like.
Yes.
And that's about. And I think I bring that to these people.
Yes.
Because I've been there and I know how difficult it is.
Right.
And I respect that. And, some
that's back to the psychology and the empathy and intuition and all the things that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
That you have stated are part of your process. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it makes sense. Mm-hmm. You're the perfect storm.
I am?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't know that before today.
Oh. What does that mean?
I just think you have, use the word eclectic. You have a very high level of multiple skill sets.
I have multiple information.
But they're cohesive. They complement each other.
Why not? Even if look at the juxtaposition. Go to my YouTube channel. I'll go Swan Lake that I did, where I have 4 lockers, and 4 classical ballerinas dancing to Tchaikovsky. So people wouldn't think that's cohesive, but I knew how to do both, so I could put them both together.
So why wouldn't it work?
Why wouldn't it work?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it work?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember I probably got a job from Bowie for when he said, "Oh, I was working with this choreographer," and he said we couldn't. He said I wanted to do with the Diamond Dogs. I wanted this background singers to have I wanted them on leashes. And this very famous choreographer, which I will not name, said, "Oh no," because I think he went to bondage. I think the choreographer like panicked, and it seemed like bondage and this and that. I immediately saw, because I knew Bowie had a bridge for part of the set, and I thought, oh, if the leashes are long enough, and he's singing on the top of the bridge, and the leashes are long, we can make geometric, all sorts of different designs. And I thought of it with this like design thing. I never went to bondage.
Right.
And of course, the dogs bonded him. They bound him at the end, and he fell to his knees.
Right.
The dogs got him.
Yeah.
And I said, of course you can do it. And I remember David yelling to the other room, Coco, the dogs are back in. The dogs are back in. And I had told my agent, because I was just brought to do the opening number of the David Bowie's the first tour that I did for him. And I said, trust me, I'm going to do the whole show. I'm not going to just do the opening number.
You said that out loud? Or to yourself?
I said that to my agent.
Oh, God.
I just knew I would.
Right.
I knew we would work together great, because I had met him before.
Right.
And sure enough, the Coco, it's back in. Because of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
When I'm producing an artist and I hear engineers or other technical people say, no, you can't do that, I hate it. I put my foot down with that always and say, that's not your place to say what you can or cannot do. I understand theoretically, technically, but let's see if we can figure out a way to make this happen. Because it's an idea that's
the only time you can run into trouble is when it's a great idea, but you go, we can do this if you can give me the time.
Yeah.
Do you have the time to devote to this?
Yeah.
Or do we have to make radical adjustments so that it's clean?
Right.
And that we can accomplish something,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm referring more to somebody saying, well, you can't sing that note because it's not in the chord. It's like, try it.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay.
I always sing the note that isn't
exactly. Or that hip hop and ballet, those don't go together. It's like, why not? I applaud your you being present and open and willing to try things. I think that's just so cool.
Well, that's what's fun.
And I think that it is fun. I do too. And I think it also is a big part of the longevity of your career or careers.
Careers. I think
As
being
you said.
eclectic.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Really, because man, you can't be the flavor of the month because there's dance styles change and everything changes, and if you're not like ahead of the change, not to be ahead of the change to get the job, but just you're ahead of the change because you knew you were just in it when it was changing.
Right.
Being on the cutting edge of pop culture, being like. Yeah. The go-go stuff was the beginning of a whole new era. The lockers were the beginning of a whole new era. Easy Rider, 5 Easy Pieces, the big change in film. Bette, Bowie, everybody. It's like on that cutting edge, the beginning of something new. David Byrne, what he's doing now is fabulous.
Yeah.
Just fabulous.
No surprise.
No surprise.
Right.
And I'm sure he's got something else up his sleeve.
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I know he does. I'm sure he does, because he's always one step ahead. Bowie was always one step ahead, 5 steps ahead.
Yeah, sure, and constantly recreating himself.
Yeah,
visually.
Oh yeah,
sonically.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. And I would imagine having fun with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never got.
We really miss him. I keep thinking. He's got.
You were friends.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, he was always ahead of his time.
Well, in a way, you have been too.
Oh yeah.
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 My final question.
Oh, there's another question.
At this point of your life, with everything that you know to be true, What would you tell your younger self?
Oh, I don't know. What would I tell my younger self? Go to class. Just do research. But I was. So I wouldn't tell myself anything, too radically different. There were, I mean, you all go, gee, if I would have gone down that lane, I wonder what that would have been like. But maybe that would have been successful too. It just would have been another lane. Yeah.
I see that. Mm-hmm. Toni, it's a joy to spend this time with you. Thank you.
I love talking about theater and dance. And
I do too.
People.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thanks for sharing your story, your perspective. Thank you, everybody, for joining us and listening. Go to tonibasil.net.
Yeah, tonibasil.net.
Go download.
For all my information and the T-shirts, which are pretty fabulous. And then the YouTube channel, Toni Basil's House. And then there's all that other silly stuff.
And download the new single.
Oh, my God. And download the new single. And then Shopping A to Z is going to be up there.
Right. So keep your eyes out.
There's sound-alikes.
Yeah. From the original artist. So, but you're supporting the person who created it. Yeah, but actually
the artist will actually...
will benefit. Yeah, and so will you, because it's important to support art. And I'm excited that you're going to continue to put out some more music, like to release more music.
Maybe, but as you know, it's pricey.
Yeah.
And it takes a village.
It does. But the village is those of you who are listening right now. So support it. Mm-hmm. And you'll hear more. It's really no more complicated. Mm-hmm. Buy a T-shirt, send an email of encouragement, and we'll keep putting the art out. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Tune in again next week for another great episode of Making It with Terry Wallman.